Greetings and welcome to another LGR Quickie, and today I would like to somewhat quickly talk about Sid Meier's Civilization VI. And as you might be able to tell as I flash you with my geeky cred here, I'm a little bit of a Civilization fan. Always have been, really. I was introduced to the series as a kid by my uncle, and I've been into it ever since. I always love to check out the new iteration of Civ, but usually after about a year after its release, after it's got a bunch of patches and they've ironed out some of the kinks and weird stuff, given it an expansion or two. And if you're not familiar with the whole idea of Civilization, well, it's pretty much a 4X turn-based strategy game. So explore, exterminate, whatever the heck. It's one of those things where you start off in ancient times, or you can, and you go off into the future until you go to space. And it just sort of goes infinitely after that. And you just keep playing one more turn after one more turn after one more turn until your life is gone. And it's awesome because you were playing Civ. I chose to dive into 6 though because the changes and the updates and whatnot, they were super intriguing to me. Specifically, the city building aspect that they have added to Civilization now. So if you weren't aware, in the past, Civilization had you building cities, and then you would just sort of stack things on that city, and things would get piled in there, and it would kind of whatever. It could stand to use a little bit of an overhaul, and what they've done here is they've unstacked them, much like they unstacked units in Civilization 5 previously, but it's gone even further with these cities, and now that you have to rely on districts for things. You want a bank, you're going to have a commerce district. If you want a factory, you need industrial, etc. So you have to think ahead and do a little bit of city planning. And as a fan of Civilization, SimCity, Caesar, and other games of that ilk, this is super fun to me. And it's also just interesting with some of the effects that you don't think about as you're building until much later in the game. Like say you discover uranium and whoops, it's underneath your district for culture. But that's the price you pay for choosing to build the things that you do with each city. It gives, if you play it right, each city more of a specialization, and you're not just having every city to have every single thing. You're just going to run out of room in a lot of cases, and that's pretty neat. Another smaller change that makes a pretty notable difference is that the civilizations that you run into, like the AI players and whatnot, are each going to have their own agendas and other details that you can look into regarding how they act, what they're going to expect from you. And it makes things more clear when, say they denounce you or declare war on you for very specific things. It also adds extra options like making more deals, casus belli, or however you pronounce it, things like that maybe you're not going to have as much of a warmonger policy if you declare a holy war on them in a certain situation. It makes that much more fascinating to deal with each individual civilization. Another thing that they've added is religious stuff, not just to the point of what they did in Gods and Kings with Civ 5, but also a religious victory condition now. So you have your traditional domination and culture and science and points, but now you have religious victory. And that's the only victory so far that I have not actually achieved. I've gotten close, but as you might imagine, it's pretty hard to convert the entire world to follow your religion, but I really like the overhauls that they've done to religion here. With one exception, and that is religious fighting, like theological debate, I guess it's called. They just sort of call down lightning on each other, and there's not really anything to it, not much strategy or tactics involved there at all. You just send an apostle out and they fight. They've also split up the technology and civics, and they're both their own trees now, but it's all kind of split up, and actually, I kind of like that because it provides some different things to go for in a different order than maybe you were able to in previous Civ games. And there's some really interesting combinations of going for certain civics. I like that sort of anachronistic weirdness where you get to play with history, and this provides some extra opportunities to do that in a way that's a little more streamlined maybe. It looks complicated, but it's really not too bad. Another thing that they've changed in regards to this, making governments and whatnot, placing policies, they're now cards. And so you unlock these cards and you have slots depending on what kind of government you have. I got used to this surprisingly quickly. As long as your people are sort of okay with that government switch, you can make it at the appropriate time and then totally go overboard with something that's going to help your civilization right that moment. And I felt more free, I guess, to experiment with what kind of government I had and then mix and matching pieces of the other ones with these cards and placing them in a different order with wild cards and things. It's pretty neat. But yeah, this is not a perfect game. Even though it's one of my favorites of 2016, it's got some issues. The AI, as always, I mean, it's never particularly good. Prince is fine. You stick to Prince difficulty, which is smack dab in the middle. Everything's on a pretty level playing field, but you go above that and the AI cheats to a ridiculous degree, and you go below that and they just do nothing. It's no challenge, and there's a little bit of leeway there with some of the difficulties, but it's just not very satisfying after you've played 3 or 4 games. And at this point I've spent about 75 hours with it, and I'm like tired of the AI, really. So multiplayer is pretty much where I want to be playing right now, and it's awesome there. Multiplayer works great. Also not great are some of the really bizarre choices in terms of the user interface and hands-on usability of this game. There's some real problems with stuff, clicks not going through, notifications not working right or not going away or coming up the wrong time, or just stuff getting totally lost. I mean, there's still icons and buttons that I have no idea what they do. The tutorial only helps so much. The Civpedia, while definitely helpful, leaves something to be desired in terms of minutia. It's good at a broad example of what you need to do, but there's a lot of little stuff that's just super irritating, and they take way too many clicks to get done. Still, regardless of some of the issues that it has, and there's some room for improvement, I'm not going to deny that, it's still been one of the most enjoyable games that I've played in 2016, and it's a fine addition into the Civilization series, in my opinion. In fact, it might be the best base Civ game we've had in 2 or 3 iterations now, and that's worthy of praise. It still needs some work though, so maybe don't spend the $60 or just wait for a discount. I'm sure there'll be a discount during Christmas, holidays, that kind of thing on Steam. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to expansions and mods and just playing more, because I'm not anywhere near done with this game. It's a lot of fun.
Embrace the chill winds of the motherland, Tsar Peter. Your fascination with science and culture is a gift.